everyone. Welcome back to the BizTech Pulse, where we dig into business and technology come together to drive real results. Today's guest is someone who knows the intersection better than just about anyone, Mr. Brian Hardy. Brian is a technology and operational leader with over 30 years of global experience helping companies and the private equity firms behind them maximize EBITDA through strategic IT enablement, rapid post-deal integration, and next-level digital transformation. He has held senior roles including CIO and COO at global powerhouses like IBM, Accenture, Lenovo, Tommy Bahama, and recently at PureTech Scientific. What sets Brian apart is his ability to go deep on both strategy and execution, whether it is modernization, enterprise tech stacks, leading full-scale SAP and ERP rollouts, or managing high-stake M&A carve-outs. Brian brings the rare ability to zoom out and align with board level goals while also rolling up his sleeves to get the job done. He's now focused on providing fractional CIO services to PE-backed portfolio companies and mid-market firms, offering everything from pre-acquisition IT due diligence to post-close integration playbooks, cloud migration, and even AI-driven cost-saving solutions. If you're a CEO trying to standardize operations without breaking the bank, a CFO looking to make IT spend more transparent, or a PE partner trying to unlock value fast, Brian's the kind of strategic advisor you want on speed dial. We've got a lot to unpack, from tech modernization to M&A integration and how to build investor-ready scalable growth engines. So let's dive into this conversation with Brian Hardy right here in the BizTech Pulse. Brian, welcome to the podcast. You describe yourself as a people-first leader, emphasizing alignment over pure technical expertise. How has this approach shaped your success as a CIO, especially when driving change management initiatives?
Well, one of the key elements of change management is certainly the people and understanding the culture of the company, as well as overall how the people work within the structure of the overall company. So if you don't align with the people and understand their needs and understand their capabilities, then no change management is going to work, because you're trying to convince them that they need to move forward in a strategic direction that they may have never witnessed before. In order to do that, you have to also be cognizant of their needs and work habits, as well as their skills and prior training. For me, it's become a huge advantage to be able to understand the people, get to know them, help them appreciate the fact that I'm there to serve them, not there to tell them what to do. That enables them to be contributors to the change, which is always what helps change succeed. If the key contributors are also working alongside you, then it's going to work. And if they're not, then it's not going to work. So for me, it's always been a success, because I started with the people first and I didn't come to them with a predefined technology roadmap.
Many talk about aligning people, process, technology, but few execute it well. Can you share a real world example where misalignment hindered scalability and how you addressed it?
Yes, I was a CIO, but before I was a CIO, I was a transformation consultant for a large retailer. Within that framework, they owned multiple brands. And as a result of having a long-standing corporate IT staff, there were a lot of legacy systems that were no longer useful for the future strategy for the company overall, and the expansion and scalability. They wanted to go through a lot more acquisitions of other brands. And so for me, it was same again. You get to know the people, you understand the people, you understand what drives them, what motivates them, where they want to go in their career. For that particular scenario, it was more or less a little bit of the worst case scenario, because you had to release a certain number of people because they were unwilling to learn new technology and unwilling to move forward with the company's strategic directives. That was one of the more extreme scenarios where there had to be a removal of certain IT members because, again, they didn't have the skill, they were unwilling to learn the skill. My first process for me is to always attempt to upskill the existing people in a company, because you need that legacy knowledge. In that particular case, it didn't happen that way. For processes, technology is never going to talk back. So technology will do exactly what you want. The process itself is really still aligned to what is your new strategic directive, right? Do you want efficient processes that you can grow without layering so much capital intensive process, or do you want it to be something that is going to stagnate your company? For me, the biggest example, like I said, did involve some reduction in staff, but the good news with that was with probably a 60% reduction in staff, the company actually then scaled with zero issues, with zero downtime, and with zero customer service issues.
Oh, wow. Typically, I think the next thing which I have is scaling beyond headcount. With many companies facing layoffs and shifting away from simply adding headcount, what strategy have you found most effective for optimizing processes and technology to enable scalable growth?
Even before the technology and process, you look at what is currently being accomplished as far as what is the end product, not the product that's being produced as far as a widget, but the product that is being produced as far as the person's time commitment, right? So if a person is sitting in a role and they are just doing activities 8 hours a day, but those activities are not driving value for the company, you don't have to remove the person. You remove those activities, whether that's through automation, AI, some other types of efficiency gains, or you change the process from the old because you've upgraded your ERP or your operational system. So that's what I've used more effectively in the last probably 10 to 15 years. You look at the process as it is, and you say, really, is this effective for driving value in the organization? Most organizations, I think the reason for a lot of the downsizing is because they're recognizing that many of their processes aren't adding value and people are completing those processes. So if the process goes away, the person goes away. Unfortunately, they're not trying to repurpose that person because the person still has a brain, they still have a lot of knowledge about the company, and they could help improve. But that's where it comes down to the executive understanding. You need key information about your company and you keep that, but you do optimize your process. Clearly, in today's world, we've all heard of AI and analytics and dashboards and all kinds of other things that help us to streamline. But we have to really be committed to that change process to be most effective. Use the people that you have, use their knowledge, have them contribute because they can take you longer, faster than bringing in new people where you have to stop and retrain and teach them about your company because that legacy knowledge about your company, it's not easy to replace.
Absolutely. They also feel supported and upgrade themselves in the whole process. Coming back, being an SAP partner, this question relates to us a little bit more. SAP Grow and customization myth. There is a perception that the SAP Grow is restrictive, lacks customization. How do you address these concerns with clients? What are the misconceptions you have encountered, especially the mid-market companies?
The first part is help them understand that what they're reading and hearing is untrue because the SAP public cloud, let alone the private cloud, the public cloud has the ability to provide functionality for any company that I've currently seen and witnessed. In the event where there may be an exception, like you're specialized trying to manage a fleet of trucks, then there's the BTP layer that SAP has, which enables you to have a third party or a customized solution that's running side by side. So you're not changing the core, you're not trying to modify or write new code inside of SAP, the public cloud. You're enabled to use those technologies by BTP. That's the business transformation that you can extend, right? I think a lot of companies don't fully understand that because they're oftentimes told by the larger firms that you can't customize. You don't need to customize the public cloud. You need the solution that solves your problem as your company and allows you to execute. Those solutions are enabled to plug and play by SAP's BTP layer.
I know you dwell on this. A lot of solutions are available in the SAP stores for people who are looking, for example, tax compliance or localization solutions and stuff like that for the public cloud as well, for my understanding.
Exactly. Even things like printing labels, for instance, if you're in a regulatory environment like PureTech and you require custom labels for printing, then you're using the partners in the SAP store to be able to procure and plug and play a solution that's specific to labeling. So SAP is not trying to be the expert in labeling, but they're enabling you to just plug and play. We use that, for instance, and it was an easy plug and play, easy success. The label company stayed focused on what they did best, and SAP stayed focused on what they did best.
What is the percentage for a typical Grow customer? What is the percentage of customization in a typical greenfield environment? Is it 5%, 10%, 20%? What is the typical customization initiative which you have seen in your experience?
For me, it's usually less than 2% because I coach them to revise their process so that they don't require customization. A lot of people talk about as is to be, and a lot of people talk about this is a requirement, a must have, right? But when you ask the question of what does your business do or what does this process accomplish, if you are a seasoned consultant and you're aware of the functionality in SAP, you can provide the solution, you can provide the actual access to the operational and financial execution without customization. But you may require changing the process. If your process is check this button, do XYZ, run this report, that process might not work without customization. But the point is, what is the end goal? What is the end output from the process? All those steps, right? When a consultant that's knowledgeable looks at that, they can avoid anything that would require customization. Like I said, it's a rare circumstance around a regulatory environment that would require some degree, potentially, of customization. And in that case, those would be the 5% to 10% or less, because I'm going to look with the BTP layer, no customization, zero customization. So in PureTech, we had zero customization. Keep in mind, PureTech was a carve out from Chemours, and Chemours is a multi-billion-dollar with like hundreds of custom objects, probably even thousands. We moved from that environment to the greenfield, and we're still able to run the business as efficiently, if not more efficiently, with zero customization.
How long was this deployment? Was it a greenfield? If you can share more about the PureTech deployment.
For me, it was greenfield because I said, okay, we're moving to the public cloud, and there had been a study before between Chemours and SAP. Chemours had made a determination they could not use the public cloud. So this is an example of where whatever mix of consulting they had or advisory they had, not from SAP, because SAP knew they could use the public cloud, but Chemours decided they couldn't. So for me, I decided we're not going to try to bring all the customization that's in Chemours, right? That would be a 2-year long project and not something that's sustainable for private equity acquisition. For us, it was essentially, it was a 15-week. We had finished in 14 weeks, but by the time we went live, it was a 15-week deployment. Again, it was greenfield, but we made the decision. What do we need to do? Purchasing, quality management, finance, what do you need to do in order to run this business? It also included those regulatory labels and compliance and all the other things. We didn't just go live with finance, and we didn't just go live with sales and distribution. We went live with the full suite, including quality, including the custom labels and regulatory and so forth. That was the time span because we didn't try to bring the baggage forward.
That's nice. That's nice. Licensing and pricing, especially with SAP's move from FUE to named user license, can be confusing. What advice do you have for companies navigating these changes to ensure they make cost-effective decisions?
I'll touch on the other because we did touch on the as is to be, but I didn't focus on the thing that is most important there, which is when you have a strategy in your executive leadership team, you want to make sure that the systems support your new strategy, your growth, maybe growth by acquisition or so forth. You usually align with as is. So please don't spend the time mapping out all your as is because it's not what you want to move your business forward. With respect to the licensing question, it's actually the reverse of that because with the public cloud or with their cloud solutions, they moved from the name to the FUE. It is more a matter of understanding the parameters that they have as far as what an FUE covers for a license, full user equivalent. It can be confusing, but there's a simple slide that if you have any questions, I can help you answer that with respect to how your service user may apply or account against the FUEs as well as the other. I think maybe what you might have heard before with respect to the name user still applies to all companies who are currently using on-premise ECC and any of the other solutions. As far as the new cloud solutions, they're still using the FUE.
Oh, is it? Actually, I thought recently these guys have changed on the public cloud. They brought the named user. It is a recent change, a month and a half.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, they have
Yeah.
not. It's more a matter of if you are still using a legacy system and you're in the process of moving, they're not allowing you to use the FUE. But if we find out different, then we can come back and have another conversation as far as I'm aware. Either way, whether it's a named user or whether it's an FUE, it's very important to understand internally, not to say to SAP or to say to Accenture, hey, you figure this out. You
Okay.
look at what the user is actually doing and transacting in your business, and then determine what you need to buy in order to be able to run your business without over purchasing a license or under purchasing.
Sure. The next question is basically for new customers who are looking at an ERP solution, SAP versus NetSuite. You noted that NetSuite is often seen as a less expensive, but the true cost can be higher due to add-ons and lack of integration. What should companies consider when comparing ERP platform beyond the sticker price?
A lot more than the price, because the first step is look at what the solution has natively in as far as functionality. Understand what you're buying with respect to what it does without bolt-ons, without SAP, for instance, without the BTP layer, without any extensions and so forth. You understand what you have to work with. And then after that, understand what the capabilities of your resources internally are, especially IT. If you purchase a solution, for instance, NetSuite, then you're forced to navigate multiple licenses for other third-party solutions. So you have to have that in your framework, which has different expiration dates, different terms, different conditions. Then you also have to make sure that there is an element of plug and play that's supported. But now you don't have one source to call. If SAP breaks, you can at least call SAP support because it's an enclosed solution. But if you're working with NetSuite and you have a bolt-on for taxes, you have a bolt-on for a financial component, you have a bolt-on for the analytics, you have a bolt-on for the supply chain and the logistics, it's just an endless battle because now one person is saying that the other person is responsible. That's their solution.
Yeah.
That's not our solution. I think managing multiple contracts is expensive. Managing multiple interfaces is expensive, and being able to retain employees that understand different systems versus employees that understand one system is a major no-no. Those are the elements that I would say that you need to look at because there are a lot of modular systems out there, and the good news is you can grow into them. The bad news is if they don't supply the functionality you need and you need to go with the best of breed, now you have a specific one or two employees that you have to train only on that solution, and it makes a creep in your IT staffing.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you, especially the way SAP has done with this BTP platform and made it very modular. The breadth of solutions which SAP has a difference. Definitely, I think there is a lot of advantage of going for the SAP product. The next question, you mentioned rarely networking, instead letting your results speak for themselves. How has this approach influenced your career trajectory, and what advice would you give to IT leaders on building trust and delivering long term value?
I think in any career, any position, certainly as a leader, it's important to be honest, direct, and truthful from the very beginning. When you do that, and also very respectful, right? So respect the person in front of you. If you're talking to the CEO, respect them. But if you're talking to the janitor, respect them. Because every person truly does have a contributing factor to the overall success of a company and a community. So for me, it doesn't take much for people to understand I don't care about their title. I don't care about their position. I don't care about their salary. They're still equally important to me. So I think that has proven from the time I grew up on a farm until the time that I entered into the executive world, it's always been very well received. People sometimes they don't understand it because they're used to being talked down to, maybe, or maybe respected a little bit more if they're in a higher position. But for me, you're getting my utmost respect from day one. You always get that, and you get the straight shooting answer because I don't want to have to remember what I told you. I'm going to tell you one thing, and it's going to be the same thing over and over. And I have a lot of clients sometimes that ask me for a different answer as far as I want a different approach. I'm like, I don't know a different approach that works. I only know the approach that's honest, direct, truthful, transparent from the beginning, and we can all move faster together. It's always worked. I don't know anybody that doesn't like to be respected. With that, headhunters call me, private equity firms call me, they find me based on my past work, and then they say, hey, I have a position, I have an opening, and it's worked well. Obviously, I'm talking to you, and so I would like to have more exposure to a degree, but I'm still the guy that likes to be the low key guy. I come in, I do what I need to do to help your company and help your people to raise them to a higher level and to help your company achieve greater results, greater EBITDA, and so forth. Then I move on. And I don't need the bells and whistles. I don't need to be on the stage. It's more about the people that are actually doing the work, and I'm facilitating the approach to make it happen quicker than the big four consulting firms do.
That's a great quality, especially once you have delivered value and results. Customers or people who have dealt with you, they come back to you again and again. They know your value, they know your work ethic, they know how you have done in the past. I think that speaks volume about you, Brian. On a closing note, just wanted you to have some closing remarks for the audience.
I think the closing remarks again would be like, be who you are as a person, bring your expertise, but don't try to be the know-it-all. Don't try to be the person that knows everything about every business and every industry, because I learn every day. I learn every time I take a new position. I learn on my own before I take a new position. And I also learned people skills more and more every day, right? The thing is sometimes we can be caught up in our morning routine, and we miss the opportunity to truly interact with a person or a particular conversation that could have been instrumental in making their day better, which would have been instrumental in making somebody else's day better, and so forth. It's about people outside of the business world. It's about people inside the business world, respect, honesty, and you do the best you can do. If you do that, then there's nothing anybody else can do to stop you. There may be obstacles, there may be trials that come up in your world from a business perspective, but you always keep that positive mindset and know that you are truly aligned with moving forward and not allowing circumstance that's going to be gone in an hour or going to be gone in a week to deter you from moving forward. That's what I would say. Again, technology is really easy at the end of the day because all of the technology that's out there that you would want to use is going to be well positioned for use. You just have to know how to best deploy it with the people you have and inside the infrastructure company that you have.
Oh, great. I'm going to ask you one more quick question. What do you do to keep yourself abreasted with technology? Do you read books or attend conferences? What is your favorite way of educating or upgrading yourself?
Full immersion. I read online more than I should probably. I read offline. I talk to people. I communicate in, like you said, conferences. I attend virtual conferences. Listen, I'm constantly trying to learn because I know that technology not only changes so fast, but again, even the way that people communicate between the different realms of social media and other stuff, those impact the way then people think and the way they make decisions, whether they show up for work or whether they want to be remote employees versus on site. For me, it's a combination of everything. I don't stop learning. I don't stop reading. I don't stop listening. I do a lot of audible books as well. It's all about also listening to people like you. If I'm engaging in conversation, I'm learning from you. I'm not saying, okay, I'm here to talk. Today I am because you're asking me to. As a general rule, I prefer listening. And listening is something that helps us all to learn better. So I appreciate you asking, but that's what I prefer to do. Listen to people who are also seasoned and vets. That could mean a 22-year-old who has 2 years of experience doing something that I don't have 2 years of
Absolutely.
experience, right? So
Absolutely.
it doesn't have to be a 50, 60-year-old person to be seasoned. It could be a 15-year-old for that matter, because there's a lot of young people in today's world that have a lot of experience with certain technologies and certain applications, and they would do much better if people would listen to them.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian. To our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast on your favorable platform. Every bit of feedback helps us to bring you more conversation like this. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, Spotify, and Apple platform to update on upcoming guests and behind the scene stories. If this conversation with Brian sparked new ideas or reflection, we would love to hear from you. Drop us a comment and connect with us online. Thanks again for tuning in. Stay curious, stay innovative, and we will see you next time on the BizTech Pulse.